Hey guys, it's Nick, and welcome back to Nick OS. Although I originally wanted to conduct a poll for my next review, I decided to go ahead and give you guys a retrospective and review of the Nintendo Switch across all of its models. Together we're going to explore the general hardware that Nintendo offered us over this generation, the differences amongst them, the integration of Nintendo Switch Online, and finally the software of the system. Thank you guys so much for some of the support that I've been receiving. It means the world that I'm able to come on a platform and express my love for these games and consoles and everything involving them. So without further ado, let's blast off to this next generation with a blast of the past, as the waning days of the first generation Switch are upon us. Now we can switch on over to the video. Alright, so to begin, I would like to take a look here and kind of give everybody a brief overview of the Nintendo Switch. So, the Nintendo Switch is a system that launched in March of 2017, very heavily anticipated after the failure of the Wii U, which I do have over there. Now, the Switch launched in two variants. It was originally marketed as the gray Joycon variant, which I do have. However, these have a skin. So this is the gray Joycon. This one's actually missing a grip. Obviously the back here is gray. This is a Super Smash skin that I was able to get from a coworker while working at Target, so that was awesome. We did have some pretty cool promos. So, when we take a look here, the launch edition is what I have. There was a Nintendo Switch that released in 2019 that was a version 2. It improved on the CPU and then power. So what that means is basically it went to about 9 hours of power. Now the original Switch, I believe, has about a 6.5-inch display. You know, the display itself, it's kind of lackluster. At the time, it didn't feel as outdated, but within a year or two, with the launch of the iPhone in OLED, and OLED becoming mainstream on televisions, and, you know, the emergence of new PC consoles like the handheld Steam Deck, which eventually got an OLED edition, and things like that, and you're seeing new technologies emerge, well, it did start to show its date. And it's not just the screen. The overall power of the Switch still is the same across all three, and basically, unfortunately, the Switch kind of suffered pretty bad when it comes to comparing it to other systems. So if we take a look here, this would be the original Switch here. It launched in two different variants. Like I said, there was a gray Joy-Con variant and then a neon red and blue Joy-Con variant. This was that variant. I do not have my blue Joy-Cons any longer. It unfortunately got destroyed by a hammer, by my own doing. So yeah. So that brings us now to 2 years later. We're removed from the release of the Nintendo Switch. We are now moving on into a new era of Switch with, right here, right behind it, this is also missing a grip here. This is the Nintendo Switch Lite. This has no capability to be able to cast it to a screen. Now, if I'm going to be honest, the Nintendo Switch Lite is probably the most comfortable handheld console on the market right now. What that basically means for the Nintendo Switch Lite is that it actually was pretty successful, I believe, at least. I actually was looking for a Switch Lite for quite a while, even though I already had a regular Switch. It did take me until 2022 to start looking at the Switch Lite, being like, hey, maybe, you know, I'm interested in that. So I did end up getting one. I made a trade with somebody from Facebook, and I was able to pick one up, and I love it. I think that there's a lot of great games that play better on here. Now, the Switch Lite is a little bit cheaper. It's definitely, obviously, well, lighter than the Switch. It doesn't necessarily do what the DS Lite did, basically taking what worked about the DS and putting it into a new, sleeker form factor. This does really feel like something that's entry-level, maybe for a kid or a younger toddler or something, to where maybe you just want to cozy up in bed and play. And it really does solve an issue with the Nintendo Switch itself, is that the sliding mechanism of the Joy-Cons can get a little uncomfortable. So I'll actually demonstrate that for you real quick. First of all, here's the kickstand. Right on the back here, this original kickstand, I'm going to turn it around and try and show you the best that I can, was quite a large problem for Nintendo. Watch this, ready? See that? Now, it's good that it's removable, because if it breaks, you can get a new one. However, it's not supposed to be a way for you to just, you know, it kind of just pops right back in and out. And so, and now it won't go in. Wow. Okay. Now it's back in. So, you know, the biggest problem with this system is while you're playing, if you can hear that, see that? Didn't even press the button. See that? So that's a big problem with the Joy-Cons, and with the Switch 2, that's going to hopefully be fixed. When you're laying in bed, if you're playing in handheld mode, you can have an issue where you're just trying to play, and next thing you know, your Joy-Con might fall off. Or you're sitting there and it's just squeaking, and maybe it's a little uncomfortable. Oops, turned on. So that is kind of something that was fixed by the Switch Lite, was that the comfort of it all was definitely much, much better. However, this brings us to our next topic. I'm going to put it right here for everybody who loves the Switch and knows. Joy-Con drift. Drift is a major, major problem with this particular console. I can't understand how Nintendo never fixed it. I can't understand how they didn't release a new type of Joy-Con. From day one, it's been an issue, and it's been an issue on every single Switch that I own, except for the Lite, and I'm blessed for that, because if the Switch Lite was to get Joy-Con drift, I believe you would have to send your entire system in for repair, and the logistics of doing such a thing, I mean, it's kind of slim. To be honest with you, to send in a whole system, I don't even know if Nintendo really even does that. But here's a look at the back here. Obviously, Nintendo Switch, big, nice, big logo. And then you're just like legal markings here on the bottom. So this did release in a couple different variants. It released in 3. And I'll put those up on the screen. So obviously right here, we have the gray model. Then it also released alongside a pink model and a turquoise model. Now I'm going to say that yellow also did release, so I believe it was a 4th, so I'm going to throw yellow right here. So there's also a yellow model. We did get some special editions. We got a Hyrule version, we got a couple Animal Crossing versions, and I will make sure to obviously post those up, and I will post as many of the special edition pictures of this as I can. With the regular Switch, however, at first we didn't really get that many editions and versions and such, but we did get a couple. I'm not really sure of the regular special editions, other than the one I have right here, which now brings us over to the Nintendo Switch OLED. So, as 2020 rolls around, we are now, you know, in lockdown and everything else is going on. The Nintendo Switch becomes more mainstream, right? We have games like Animal Crossing that take a new leap and a new strategy and stride on that game, and it attracted a lot of buyers. Now, I think that's probably a reason why we did end up getting a variant of that for this system. I'll throw a picture of that one right here. And then this system right here as well, which I already showed, but I'll throw another one right there. So if we take a look at that, we can see that Animal Crossing was a huge, huge part in the success of the Switch. Everybody was playing Animal Crossing. I still play Animal Crossing. I started it in 2020. I never played Animal Crossing beforehand, but it got me into other games. It got me into more simulators, like right behind me. Oh, it's gone now. I'm not sure where that went. That's okay. It did get me into other simulators, like the Harvest Moon series. And now I'm going to be moving over to the originals that then became Story of Seasons. This was a big time for Nintendo, and it obviously showed that. Now, where does that bring us? We're now 3 years out of the Switch. We have the global lockdowns, we have uncertainty in the market, but the Switch is still strong, and it's running very strong. However, people are noticing with the Switch there has been some problems, specifically in its terms of power. This system can't handle games that are AAA. It just can't do it. They tried with Mortal Kombat 1, that looked awful. It looked like something that was on the PS2. And for a system that comes out in 2017, and then subsequently the Switch OLED in 2021, it's really a shame, and I think that the Switch 2 is going to address a lot of those problems. But specifically, with the OLED here, this fixed a major problem with the Switch, and that was the resolution. The regular Switch, for its time when it came out, was revolutionary for Nintendo. It was revolutionary for the market. It was the first handheld experience where you could take your console on the go. Obviously, we've now had advancements, like things with the Steam Deck, or the Asus ROG Ally, or the Acer Nitro Blaze, that's coming in 3 different variants. We've had the Lenovo Legion, now the Lenovo Legion Go S. we are seeing this new market appearing out of what would seem to be a stagnant console space, especially between Xbox and Sony. I think they're on the way out. Personally, I think handhelds are going to overtake the market, because why would I buy a $500 piece of equipment that sits stationary? I can play the same games on a handheld that can then be plugged into a TV or a monitor and be used as a computer or used as a system. It makes no sense. So I think that Sony and Xbox are going to really be, kind of in some trouble if they don't adapt to this. So anyways, that brings me back, and I apologize for rambling. This is why I would like to include a little bit of chapters here. This system did solve that problem of resolution, but it did fall short, because in 2020 there were new rumors beginning about the Nintendo Switch Pro and this whole idea of having a Pro version of the Switch. Unfortunately, that did not come to fruition. Between the lockdown and the shortages of chips, Nintendo just couldn't get it done. And ultimately, I really think that Nintendo wouldn't have even made that big of a difference anyways. Even with the new chips, we were still already on that sugar high of getting the new PlayStation and getting that Series X Xbox. And so I don't know if it would have made that much difference in the market anyways. For those who already had a Switch and were pretty big gamers who loved RPGs, who loved AAA games, but maybe wanted it on the Switch something, it probably would have sold well in that area. But I think that we're really 5 years removed from the beginnings of the Switch Pro talks, and then subsequently the Switch 2 talks. We're now past the rumor stage. We obviously have had the reveal, and so basically this did fall short. It's still using the same hardware in terms of its power capabilities as the original Switch. I believe its battery life might be a bit better. I'm going to definitely make sure to include that and just kind of fact check that. From my own experience, it definitely is better. And like I said, there was another version of the Switch that released in 2019 that did improve battery, and this is not that model. So this is obviously going to be building on what was coming out in 2019. The OLED screen here, we have a 7-inch display. Obviously OLED, it is much more vibrant, much more colorful than anything that the Nintendo Switch can put out. This system right here, I will play in handheld mode all the time. I actually really love playing in tabletop mode. I can't say the same for this one. Now, for the Switch Lite, obviously this is a handheld only experience really. You can, I believe, connect a Pro controller to it. It's not really worth it. The screen's too small. I believe it's rocking like a 5-inch screen. It's nothing to write home about, but this is. I just finished Kirby and the Forgotten Land, the first 3D Kirby game on it. And a blessing in disguise is that I didn't really think about this when I got rid of, or when I stopped using this. I actually ended up deleting it trying to trade it in. But I didn't realize that these Switch cartridges didn't have saves on them. So I lost a lot of progress from all of my games, and some of it was like kind of still there, but it just wasn't all the way. So I think Nintendo's got to work out some of those things, especially with the digital library and transfers and stuff like that. I should be able to access my save data through my account, and I can't, so. But it does give me the blessing of being able to go back and play Mario Odyssey on a much better screen. Alright, so with that, this is kind of an overview of what we got going on here. I would like to now kind of go over the main specifics of what makes these consoles so much different, other than me rambling. And yeah, so I'm going to set everything up for you guys, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, so kind of looking away from the screens now, we're going to be taking a look at these kickstands here. So this is the Switch OLED kickstand. This is obviously a major improvement from the Switch One. So I'd like to start with the Switch One. Switch One's kickstand, very simple. Just one sort of piece. Sort of like, and this is actually where you would stow the SD card, the micro SD. So it would kind of sit up like this, and you're going to see it's very flimsy. Watch. It gives itself a little bit of an angle. The biggest problem with this kickstand is this. Gone. So you're going to need to reapply that. You put this off to the side for the moment. Now, the big improvement over the Switch was the kickstand. The Switch OLED kickstand is much better. It has adjustable angles, so you can have better viewing. If you're playing tabletop, you can adjust it to basically however you like. so far is here. This is the farthest it's going to go. So if you'd like to see it from this angle, this is kind of how you would be playing. It's great. It's really wonderful, honestly, and it's a major improvement over this. This doesn't have an adjustable viewing angle. The best you're going to get from the original Switch is going to be just flat. And that's fine. It is okay, but even if you're looking just a little bit of an angle here, hey, the Switch OLED's much better. Also, it doesn't give out, and it's nice and smooth. I don't know what it is. This is the best kickstand, and I think that the new kickstand is going to be a major failure point that nobody's talking about. The Switch 2 kickstand has this U shape. I'm going to throw a picture up of that right over here. And basically the biggest problem with that is going to be that if you mess up, that thing cracks, you need a new kickstand. This, on the other hand, let's say I open this up, I get a saw. Like that, it's still going to function. It might not look great, but it's going to function. That, if you saw that thing down the middle, dude, that thing's cooked. It's done. So yeah, now we're going to move on from this and take a look at the overall build quality differences. So this Switch screen is disgusting, man. It needs to be cleaned. So if we take a look here, I have the Splatoon 3 version of the Switch OLED. So the back's going to be different. The regular Switch OLED looks exactly the same on the back here. The difference is going to be it just is black. It does not have the Splatoon markings. It's this, but black. And the Switch OLED, it comes OEM with white Joy-Cons, so the system itself is going to be black with white Joy-Cons and a white dock. So the docks are actually different as well, so I will be getting the Switch dock out, and we're going to be looking at that after I get done this segment here. So Joy-Cons, absolutely the same, no difference at all in terms of their capabilities, their functioning, their stick drift, nothing is going to be different there. Systems are exactly the same, pretty much just with an OLED screen. Like I said, kickstand is going to be completely different. The screen, obviously very different. Now, this system, I almost want to say, is a little bit, it might be a little bit thinner, but it could just be that it's longer. It might be thinner, but it feels a lot more premium. This does not feel premium in the hand at all. This feels a little bit heavier, but it's got a good heft to it now. This feels like it just feels like a toy. I don't know why. And maybe it's because we're 8 years old now. This is an 8-year-old console. And this is only really 3 years old, or 4 now. It's about to be 4 years old, I think, in September. So really just about 3 years old. And this console feels so much more premium in the hand. And I don't know. It's just a much better version of this Switch. I don't think it's a Switch Pro, but I don't think it's as bad as everybody made it out to be. The Switch OLED is definitely a big step for Nintendo. It was a great addition, and I'm going to be really sad to leave the OLED to go to the Switch 2. And it's one of those things that it might actually skew my decision to wait on the Switch 2, because I just can't see myself going back to LCD. So with that being said, this is kind of how things look here. Got the top-down view. Sorry about the tripod again. I know I said it last week. But yeah, everything else still functions the same. You've got the same design, same layout. Still, one thing about the Nintendo consoles that I will give them credit for is going to be the headphone jack. So you can see this here, still has a headphone jack on the OLED, and this would have a headphone jack here. Now, this isn't as crazy to have a headphone jack, because at the time, it just released right after the iPhone got rid of the headphone jack. And then the industry would follow. So, basically here, it's still nice to have a headphone jack. I know that they don't really have like a headphone jack in the Pro controller, which I would like to go over as well. The Pro controller is probably the best controller in gaming. It's great. But this system has a headphone jack. You want to play social games, guess what, you're going to be able to. Now, they're kind of limited on Switch. There is one game that I actually do like. It's called Rec Room. Rec Room kind of originated in around the same time, and it was really a big game on virtual reality systems, so I was an adopter of the original Quest 2, now the Quest 3. I've played Rec Room on all 3 systems. and it's actually really slow on the Nintendo Switch, but you still can use it even though some games actually aren't available. So if you were looking at this video, maybe you're like, oh gosh, do I get a Switch now or do I wait for the 2? That's one thing I will advise against, is if you're looking for any multiplayer like functionality, it's just that the system just can't handle it. I don't want to say that it can't at all, but it's laggy in Smash, it's laggy in Mario Kart at points, it's laggy when you're playing in Rec Room. It takes me longer than it takes the person I'm inviting, so you actually leave first, and it takes me about 30 seconds to a minute longer. The system is slow, and we're going to have to move away from it, really. So with that being said, I'm going to now take a quick look at the Joy-Con. Okay guys, so welcome on back. For the sake of the video, we are just going to be looking at the original OEM red Joy-Cons. So with that, these are them right here. Apologize if it's a little bit bright. I'm trying to get a little bit more lighting in this room. These are not that washed out. If I can move it over here some, there you go. They're definitely a nice bright neon red. That's what they're called, neon red. Then they had the Mario red that released alongside Odyssey. I always wanted those. You could get them now, you couldn't for a while. These do retail for $80, so if you need new Joy-Cons, it's $80. It is a little expensive, however, you know, Xbox controllers, PlayStation, the DualSense, they're gonna be retailing, I think, at $65 they start at. PlayStation goes really close to $75, and then $80 for a lot of their special edition controllers. So, I mean, really, you are getting 2 controllers out of this. If you're playing games like Super Mario Party, or you're playing games like Mario Kart with other people, you can use this as 1 controller per person by using these 2 buttons right here, which there is a grip for, and I do have, and I will show you guys that in a moment. This is SL and SR. So they're a little bit different. They're very small, and Nintendo made a big improvement on the Switch 2 with those. Your sync button is going to be right here. So there's your sync button. This view too, you probably won't be able to see it, so that's why I have this. You have your capture button. Here's your capture button. There it is. And this is the left Joy-Con. So this is your minus Joy-Con. You do have a minus button. And then you just have your thumbstick with drift pre-installed. With that being said, you kind of got your literature back here, the legal stuff. This is the release button to get it to slide off your console. And here's just your trigger. So this is Z, L. And here is your bumper. This would just be L. So that's pretty self-explanatory. They did go away from a D-pad, however. They did give you these sort of directional buttons. So instead of a D-pad, we kind of get, I don't know, let's come up with a name. Instead of a D-pad, how about like a D-lily pad? Because there's like, they're not really connected, but you can hop around them, you know what I mean? So that's kind of interesting. Anyways, we're going to bring ourselves over to the right side here. So here is the right one. This one has the home button right on the bottom. Drift pre-installed right here. Then you have your X, Y, B, and A. Same SL and SR buttons right here along the side. Same literature and everything else. And your sync button again. Plus, and the home button, no infamous C button. That's going to be on the new one. And this is your blaster right there. So this is used for motion and things like that. ZR and R. So these function pretty well. The biggest problem that I have is I don't have enormous hands. I don't have very large hands. But if you can see from this angle up top, you're going to see that I dwarf this controller, and so do a lot of people. I mean, I don't have huge hands. These are my hands here. They're not enormous, but I pretty much dwarf these controllers. So it is a little kind of cumbersome to play with. I don't really necessarily think they're the best on the market. I think that we could definitely do better in terms of our controllers. So that's why the Switch 2 actually made them a lot larger, so that's good. I'm excited for that. This has the same issue, even worse. These are the OLED Joy-Cons. It's the same thing. I'd like to move on to the best part of this system, and that's going to be the Pro Controller. Bam! There it is. That's the Nintendo Switch Pro Controller. This controller right here is a massive improvement. A little bit of dust too. Oh wow, how about that? So this is a massive improvement over the Joy-Cons. The Joy-Cons do have a grip. I will go ahead and include that grip as a picture right here. Mine is floating around the room somewhere. I don't think it's over there. No, it's not. So it's somewhere in here. If I do find it during the course of making this video, I will include it. If not, I'm going to put a picture right here for you guys so you can see what I'm talking about. So in comparison, this right here is probably one of the best controllers in all of gaming. It's very well liked. It's comfortable. That's the most important part. The buttons, tactile, but nice and soft. The directional pad, or the D-pad, you know, functions pretty well. Nice and soft. You have your plus, you have your minus, you have your home. You also have your capture. Hey! Whoa! So, there's that. And the cool part about this controller is if you can see it, I don't know if I can get the light to work the way I want it to, but it's actually translucent, so you can see the inside of it. There's a really gross video of somebody who has ants running around inside their controller. I don't even remember where I saw it, but I almost barked. There is only one issue with this controller that I've had, or I've noticed. It's if you rage. Now, I know, it's my fault, but if you hit this thing once with something, you're going to end up with a stick that sounds, I'm going to see if it does it, like this. Hear that? The crackling? Something's loose, or there's dust in it, or something broke, and like, it still functions just fine. But yeah, this system and this controller pair really well. You want to play on the TV? It's fine. It's super easy. Once you turn this on, it's automatically connected. That's the best part about the Switch. Even if they're not, to connect as Joy-Con, to go to the connection menu, just connect it to the console, and it's automatically connected and charging. This guy, you're going to need to charge with USB Type-C, which is also great, because this was the end of the micro USB era, but a lot of companies held on to that because they didn't really feel like producing new cords and cables and things like that. So the Nintendo did go ahead and pursue USB-C. Now this could be because Nintendo is international, they are Japanese, so they actually really are ahead of a lot of American corporations in terms of, you know, adapting to new technologies and things like that. So that's good. That really puts a smile to my face. Anyways, this controller is nice and clean too. It only had a few variants come out. I believe Splatoon 2 got a variant. I know Smash got a variant. So here's Splatoon 2. Here is going to be Smash. Both of those are really cool. The Switch 2 controller, or the Pro controller, I hope it's pretty good. Actually, I hope it comes in white or a different color, or maybe we get a couple different colors, but I hope it all stays relatively the same with this. This controller works. It's great. It's functional, but it's comfortable. I have, like I said, not enormous hands, but decently sized hands, and they wrap around the controller, yes, but the handles are super nice. I do wish there was a little bit more grip. It can feel cheap around this part, but when you're playing, it's super comfortable. I mean, the triggers are nice and large for your hands, so your ZL, ZR, super nice. That's those right here, and then your L and your R, perfect there, the bumpers. And with the new hardware, I hope we're going to really be able to use this with online. I can really see Nintendo doing some type of cloud play, even at some point. Do I think that's a step in the right direction? Probably not. I think that cloud play is a failure. But if for some reason there's a game that comes out and Nintendo can't do it on their system, I can see them adopting some type of cloud play, either through Xbox Game Pass or another type of service. So, with that being said, I hope that we get to utilize this much more other than the games like Smash and Mario Kart, which this is a star on. Especially just your genuine, typical platforming games like Mario Wonder, or like Mario Odyssey, or Kirby and the Forgotten Land, which if any of you haven't picked up the newest Kirby, I would go ahead and pick that up yesterday. That thing, or that game, is amazing. So with that being said, that kind of closes out the whole controller segment. I don't think I forgot anything. I don't have the Hori split pad. I don't have any other third-party controllers. So if you're looking for that, you could probably click off. I'm sorry, I don't have anything like that. I have all first-party because I want this to be a retrospective on looking back on what Nintendo really gave us and kind of how appreciative I am of some of the things we did get, even though some of it, you know, I wish they would have fixed, but, you know, going forward, I think that they will, and I think the Switch 2 is going to be a massive improvement over what we got here, and here isn't anything to laugh at. Okay guys, back here for pretty much the second to final segment of this video. I didn't want to drag this too far. I would like to say that the games are going to be the final section of this video because software is so important. So this is going to be your Switch OLED dock. I'm going to throw a picture of the original Switch dock right here. It went and grew legs like everything else. It's gone. I don't know. I searched. I don't know where it is. I'm going to include a picture and the differences. So the major difference between these two is going to be that on the inside, which actually this is a different mechanism. The original Switch is actually almost like a drawbridge or like a trapdoor, and it kind of opens up like that. This just kind of pops off. So if we take a look at the overhead here, we have a LAN support. So we do have support for Ethernet, which is great. We have support for Ethernet. Same other things though. We have our, a little bit of heat dissipation and things like that. We do have AC adapter here. It's the same cord, the same exact cord. And what's weird though is that somebody pointed out that this system can technically take more power, but Nintendo blocked it off, which means that yes, there was a Switch Pro in development. And then just your HDMI out. This is obviously going to look a little bit different than everybody else's unless you have this model, because this is the Splatoon 3 edition. Now, I don't know why they're going back, but I really like the smaller Switch logo. It just feels so much more like professional. And looking at this new system, it looks like it has that same texture as the original one. I don't like that texture. It's this very grainy, very grainy texture. It's got a texture to it. It feels like you're running your hand. It's not smooth. This, on the other hand, is much more smooth. Even with this, you can sort of feel like, the design and whatnot, and you can definitely feel the difference in the Splatoon actual splat here. So yeah, you do have two USB-A ports, which is great because Nintendo does have a regular USB-A to USB-C, and that's how I usually charge my Pro Controller, and I usually just plug it on into here. I actually do have lights behind my TV, and sometimes I don't want my TV on. I might just want to have the lights on while I'm working on my computer or editing and things like that. So I'm able to actually plug it in right here. Works just fine. So the dock is actually kind of useful outside of the Switch. It's pretty cool, and it actually makes your space look pretty neat too, to have a little Switch kind of in there and everything else. Most of you guys know what the Switch looks like docked. However, I'll put it in there so you guys can kind of see. I'm going to take the original gray Joy-Cons, so these aren't the ones that came with the system itself, but I'm just going to show you guys you can use any Joy-Cons you want, but it's a retrospective, you know that. There's one. Oh. And here's two. So we can see that everything fits on there good. Oh, I should really wipe that screen, that's gross. Oh, that worked really well. Okay, so yeah, you can see that there's no grip here, obviously. That's something that I need to work on. You gotta get new grips. That's one thing, it's really weird. I go on Amazon looking for grips because I need them for my Switch Lite. And I actually tried getting two, and it was $6.99. But it's only one. I didn't read it because I figured, alright, $6.99, it's gotta be two. And they show a picture on there of two. It didn't read where it said one pieces. It's hard to find just the regular, just replacement pieces. It was, not anymore, because there's like the Skull and Co. and other things of these, the replacements. It's kind of hard to find. So, if you're like me and you're lost one, or you need to borrow one, because that's what I kind of did with that, because then I throw it back on here when I want to use it. It's kind of tough to find, and it gets a little expensive. I mean, if I want to replace 3 of those things, that's going to cost me over $21, because you got to remember it's $6.99, sure, but then in my state, sales tax is 6%, and then you got to pay whatever else for Amazon Prime, and it's just like everything has a cost, but like $7 for that little piece. I wonder if I can use TPU on my 3D printer and can actually print it myself. I wonder if that would be an option. I mean, if I could do it, I will do it. I'm going to take a look and do that. So with that being said, the inside of my cover plate here is actual filth. It looks like that scene from Nemo. And so, curse you Aqua scum, you're going back together. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to put this off to the side. We are now going to move into our final section of the look back on the Nintendo Switch, and we're going to take a look at the games themselves. Alright guys, so for our last segment here, we're going to be taking a look at the best part of the Switch, and that is going to be the software. So to begin, I'd like to look at the games that really inspired me to make this video and really inspired me to keep playing Switch over the years, even as it got more dry and we've had a little bit of a slump and whatnot. So to begin, we're going to start off with probably one of the best games of all time, and that's going to be obviously Super Mario Odyssey. So this was a launch title for the Switch. It did not come, well, actually no, it was actually the first holiday title for the Switch. In the trailer for the Switch, we did see the original look at Super Mario Odyssey, and so with that being said, it did release in October of 2017. Probably the best game on the Switch. It's just, I mean, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which I do have. I have that. I never beat it. This game for me was just such a touching experience, and this was really the next generation for Nintendo. I didn't get the same feeling that maybe some other people got from playing Super Mario 3D Land and 3D World. I love the beginning of the new Super Mario Bros. Franchise. I think those games are amazing. I think that Super Mario Bros. Or New Super Mario Bros. on the regular DS, and then you could play it on the 3DS, and even New Super Mario Bros. 2 on the 3DS. I think those games are wonderful. I think the Wii games kind of brought us all together, and it really sparked that multiplayer Mario experience. But Super Mario Odyssey is, I believe, single player. You might be able to play as Cappy. I don't remember. But anyways, it tells a tale of Mario. He's, got this new cat named Cappy, and they go on this whole adventure, and Bowser...
So long, Bowser!
...has this ultimate hat. I mean, I don't remember the full story off the top of my head, but if you guys haven't had a chance to play this game, you need to pick it up. So that's where we're going to start. So this is kind of going to be chronological, right? So, like I said, we're starting here with Mario Odyssey. This game here is amazing. It's a 12 out of 10. So just here's the game case, kind of flip it over on the back. The game card is not in here right now, so you can kind of see this is kind of what goes on during the game. So we'll set this off to the side. Now we're going to take a look here at my next game other than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because that is a digital game that I do own on Switch. This is going to be Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Another fine addition to the Nintendo Switch line that really took what worked about Smash Bros. Brawl, which is probably my favorite Smash Bros. And it also took kind of the expansiveness of the Super Smash Bros. U and that kind of era, and it really brought it all together. And a lot of people are talking about this new Smash that's coming to the Switch too, and it's like, I don't think we're going to get one, and if we do, it's going to surprise me. Because this is just really the definitive Smash Bros. For me. So this game is also great. Moving on now, a couple years removed from the Switch, I believe it's 2022, it's the year I graduated high school. We have Super Mario 3D All-Stars here. This game is probably top 5 on the Switch because of its inclusion of Mario Galaxy. They didn't have to do this, and I know they made it limited, but man, this is great. Mario Galaxy on the Switch is actually pretty freaking good, and I want to play 2, and I never got the chance to play 2. But I don't think I could do it on the Wii because the Switch is just so much better. The graphics are better. The game itself is looks just amazing on there. The controls are better. Having the Joycon instead of the large Wii remote makes things a little bit easier. Or if you're using the Pro Controller, you can use that too, and it's not wired like the Wii Classic controller. I know there's the Wii U Pro Controller, but I'm not shelling out money for that right now. So this is definitely worth it if you were able to pick it up during the actual release window. Right now it retails for, it doesn't even retail, but it goes on the aftermarket here for about anywhere from $70 used all the way to $160 brand new, which is insane. So we'll move this off to the side. Brings us to a lot of people's complaints, and I don't have New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe on the Switch. That's a good game. I enjoy it. Like I said, I love New Super Mario Bros. But I also kind of have a disdain for it in a way. I feel like the bop bop and everything else was, kind of bad, to be honest with you. It's just after a while, it's the same game over and over and over again, and it's just like, all right, like we get the point. And I really hate ghost houses, so I can't play those. October 20th is the release of Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which is actually, funnily enough, the same day of the Spider-Man 2 release. So, you know, I actually went out on October 20th of 2023. I actually played Spider-Man 2 digitally. Got that, you know, played it the night before. I went out on the 20th and bought this at GameStop. I love doing that. But here's the back cover art here. Matter of fact, sorry about that. I didn't show you the back cover art of this one. There's really not much going on the back cover. Oh, and better yet, here's the back cover art of this one. Better yet, before we move any further forward, I'd like to show you the inside cover art, because that is something that Nintendo Switch nailed. So take a look at Mario Odyssey's inside cover art here. So you have the lyrics to the Jump Up Superstar, which is in that New Donk City portion of the game. Moving back over to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, you have a selection of all the main fighters here, which looks great. Gives you that old school game, fighting game vibe. Here's 3D All-Stars inside. So nice little collage of all of Mario's adventures in the 3D realm. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, showed you the back here. Here's the inside of that one. So a nice beautiful picture of the Flower Kingdom and kind of the land surrounding it, which is nice. This is a different tale. Peach is actually involved, which honestly, I love that. Like, that's great. As much as I like the typical Save Princess Peach, I love the end of the new Super Mario Bros. Game on DS. This is a much needed improvement over that, because you can only save Princess Peach so many times before it comes kind of stale. So it's nice to have her playable here, and you have a new objective to stop Bowser from, you know, corrupting the world, and you need the Wonder Seeds and the Royal Seeds to defeat him. So that's really interesting, super fun and exciting. The Wonder Flowers, you know, it's like Mario with a DMT trip. It's pretty cool. Well, I don't, yeah. So, yeah, what a great game, by the way. Now, this brings me to my, one of my more current games here. I do have more Switch games, but these are the ones that really stand out to me. So this is Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is a really great game. And not only is it just a great game on its own, it actually sets up other games, because this game takes you on an adventure, and you're kind of trying to reassemble the Waddle Dees, the little people that live in your little island, and as they come back, they kind of build back up, and you have your restaurant being built where you can buy your power-ups and things, and they're, you know, just some nice scenery and everything else. And what does that sound like? That sounds like Astrobot. So Astrobot took some of that and actually built it, well, actually most of that, and put it in its own game in its own way. And that concept really, really works. It also takes a little bit of elements of Mario Odyssey. The gameplay feels a lot like Mario Odyssey. The way the camera moves feels like Odyssey. Some of your powers feel like Odyssey, so it's great. It is a wonderful addition to this console. So we're going to take a look at the back here. So here's some of the power-ups and things that you can get. It's really fun when you get to morph into things. My favorite thing to morph into, he's got this this little gear or tire, and he like uses it to blow. So yeah, yeah. Oh, this is a great game. If you guys haven't picked this one up yet, I highly recommend it. Kirby and the Forgotten Land right here on the Nintendo Switch. You can get it for, usually it's $59.99. You might be able to catch it on sale. If not, it's totally worth it if you're standing in the aisle. I would pick this one up again if I could and replay it. So I still have some post-game to finish, which that's actually a pretty fun post-game. That boss fight is something else. This brings me to my most current game that I'm playing right now. I like it. It's not a bad game. It's actually not, there's nothing wrong with it at all. It's just, I don't have the most time in the world, and this game isn't time consuming. It just feels a lot like how Pokemon is, to where it's like, you know, you want to go on this big adventure, you want to go on this massive quest, but some of us don't have all that time in the world. You know, I'm a full-time college student. You know, most of my courses, or actually all of my courses are online, but, you know, this game here would cut into that, and I have to make sure that I get all of my stuff done first too. And I love playing, but Kirby and the Forgotten Land's easier because you can kind of pick up and go to the next level, or you can stop and then you can be like, okay, this is where I'm at, this is what I need to do. Mario RPG, although it's a remake, and so I understand that it's got some older mechanics, you know, the game itself, the save style, and you have to find this block and everything, it's not as good if you're trying to be, like, you know, a little bit more time oriented with your games. Is it a bad game? No. It's actually pretty fun, and it looks amazing on the Switch OLED. So if you get a chance, and you guys have a Switch OLED, I picked this up last week. It was on sale at Target for $30. So if you can see, the cover art is beautiful, by the way. And I don't think we checked this out either. Sorry about that. So here is the Kirby game art. It's little him driving in his car. And I really, really think that this cover art kind of matches the vibe of the game. It gives me, Kirby in the Forgotten Land gives me a very, very Ponyo, like, that environment, that Ponyo-like vibe of a game. If you've ever seen Ponyo and any of the movies from them, this feels like that, and I don't know why. It shouldn't, but it does, especially this inside here, because, you know, it's just this strip of land, and it's really feels really culturally driven. It's a beautiful game. It's beautiful. So, like I said, if you guys haven't had a chance to check that one out, check that one out. Now, moving back on over to the Mario RPG here. Like I said, the game isn't bad. It's a good game, and it's actually pretty fun. You do get to team up on a, well, not new, but on a different group of enemies than you typically want in Mario. If you're just picking this up, I've never played the regular RPG. This is my first experience with Mario RPG. So you're basically trying to fend off the Smithy gang from the castle. I'm stuck at a place right now where I have to kill all these Shy Guys, but like I said, it's time consuming because I have to somehow beat them all, but I don't have enough, you know, energy, and maybe I'm doing something wrong, but then I would have to watch a walkthrough and maybe go back to do something right, and it's just like, with everything going on right now, that is just like, it's just frustrating. Because even when Kirby, if I couldn't find somebody so that, like, a Waddle Dee to help me get to the next stage of the game, you know, even if I wanted to do a walkthrough, you can go and look up, hey, you know, where's the next Waddle Dee? I can't look up necessarily what am I doing wrong with this game and get a concrete answer in a very short period of time. Now, you can say that that's my attention span. You can say that that's because maybe I'm just not that great at the game. That's fine. I'm with you on that. I'm not great at RPGs. I would love to keep playing them and love learning. So that kind of brings me to the end of the games that I really love that I have physically. Two other games I'd like to talk about really quickly is going to be Animal Crossing New Horizons. That was my second digital game on Switch. That game is amazing. That game is very passionate. It is a really, really nice, family-oriented, wholesome game. And that's what the Switch really, over its 8 years, really kind of, you know, it does pull on your heartstrings a little bit with everything going on, you know, with social media and fighting and, you know, wars and all of this talk and everything else. You know, it is nice to be able to have something where, you know, everybody can come together and play. And, you know, the Switch itself has something for everyone, right? You know, it's gonna have RPGs for those who like them. You know, it's gonna have hentai for those who like that. I'm not gonna judge. Nothing here. It is gonna have Wukong for those who don't understand the difference between the real one and the fake one. It's gonna have your Mario games, your Kirby games. It's gonna have Switch Online, and that is something else too, right? I'm gonna cut. Hey, add Switch Online. Okay, so yeah, you know, it has Switch Online like we've talked about. It does have these wonderful things, and at the end of the day here, guys, what we need to understand is that the Switch really does capitalize on what the Wii U failed. It was a family-oriented device, but it failed miserably. It was not family-oriented, it was kid-oriented, and the Wii was so successful in the family orientation. I don't know why they changed up. It felt too generic, it felt too cringe, it felt too corny with the families. I'm going to try and see if it'll let me put a URL in my description to a couple videos from other creators that basically have a compilation of all the Wii U commercials that kind of show or illustrate what I'm talking about, right? So yeah, with that, these games here, like Animal Crossing, like Mario Kart 8, most of you know Mario Kart 8, I will just talk about it briefly. The game's great, got a lot of characters, a lot of customization, a lot of new maps. Nintendo Switch Online, you do get an expansion pack which gives you more of a, it's like a It's got the expansion pack for Mario Kart 8, which gives you new maps, gives you new races. I don't know if it gives you more characters. I don't remember. It could. It probably does. You are able to kind of keep playing with that, and it keeps the game alive. Even some things like Animal Crossing does get a little boring, but with Switch Online you can get a couple fun little things. So alright, so with that, guys, that's going to kind of close out my game section here. I would like to now look at this overall Switch UI. I'm going to have the overhead here recording for that. Alright, so now we are into the Switch UI here. Let me just double check something. Okay. No. Alright, guys, so now we are in the Switch UI. I'm going to do my very best to record it with the overhead camera. It is a phone, so I have a mobile camera here, regular camera there. It's not going to be the absolute best quality. I'm going to do my very, very best to improve. I am trying my best. So this is basically your Switch UI here. If we take a look, we see that it's only a one row layout. Here's some games that I have been playing. As you can see, I've been playing a lot more family-oriented games. Probably the most hated here is going to be 1-2 Switch. It does have a... So, we're here. And unfortunately, it looks like my camera died in the middle of recording this. So, this is kind of just going to be me talking about the overall UI of the Nintendo Switch. It is currently 1:39 a.m. on Saturday, February 1st, and I just realized this problem as I'm nearing the end of editing this video, so bear with me. So basically, what I wanted to talk about is just that the Nintendo Switch does feel a little bit boring in terms of its UI. I did record another section of this video, but it would have been dragging it on far too long. So overall, from the picture here, this is basically all you're going to get. You will get some fun noises with certain things. You will get some, you know, character in terms of the actual movement of the icons. It does feel very Nintendo-esque. It doesn't feel anything like Sony or, God forbid, Xbox. But yeah, so the UI of the Nintendo Switch is something that I'm really interested in seeing how it improves with the second generation. And so with that being said, yeah, the Nintendo Switch eShop is a major problem with this system. Outside of it being slow and laggy, it's just really boring. There's no music, there's no sounds. When you type, it's the same gut-wrenching, ear-piercing clicks. And yeah, so if you guys are like a big UI person like me who enjoys the look and aesthetic of something, I'd maybe wait until the Switch 2. Obviously, this is a, you know, retrospective to kind of reminisce on the past of the Nintendo Switch and what we kind of got. I think Nintendo was scared of their own shadow a little bit. They were scared of the Wii U and how they marketed that, but they don't understand that the things that did work for the Wii U was its ambience, was its aesthetic, and when people look back on the Wii U now, what they do talk about is the menu music, is the eShop, is the Miiverse, and all the things that Nintendo kind of did away with. It's kind of funny, right? How Nintendo, they come out with a new handheld system and get rid of everything software-wise that made the previous one work. Obviously, the marketing on this was a lot better. So, with that being said, I'd like to move on over to the Nintendo Switch Online portion. This was supposed to be the last portion of the video, but yeah, kind of messed up. So, thank you guys so much for watching. If you do see this video, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I've been working super hard on this video. It's not the greatest. It's probably not as good as the others, but I'm here. It's freaking 2 in the morning. I'm exhausted, so I'm trying my best for you guys. Thank you. Alrighty guys, so we're going to be looking at Nintendo Switch Online through the website. It's definitely a little bit more informational than the Switch would be, although there is a lot of information on the Switch. I feel like this view is a little bit better. So when looking at Nintendo Switch Online, this is a core part of the Nintendo Switch. We can see here that this allows for obviously online functionality and things like playing online with other people that are not in the same room as you, like Nintendo typically used to do. So we can look at a couple things that Nintendo Switch Online offers. So this is kind of new. They do now have game vouchers where it's $100 and you can buy 2 games. So instead of it being either $120 or you know, going and buying 2 games like the Tears of the Kingdom is $70 on its own. So you're saving about $20 to $30 in total there. Now, there is now a new thing called Nintendo Music, where you could, you know, jam out to some Nintendo music. There's a bunch of NES, Super NES, and Game Boy games at your fingertips, and that's going to be with a different tier. So we'll talk about the tiers too. If we go to learn more, it's going to kind of show us some of those tiers. So there's going to be 2 types of tiers of the Nintendo Switch Online. There's also a family membership. So within this Switch Online, there is an individual membership. So that's going to be right here. And it starts at about $3.99 a month. So yep, there's that. So every 30 days, you'd be charged $3.99. You would get the base, Nintendo Switch Online experience. You'd be able to play online with people on games like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or Mario Wonder. And then you can also opt for paying, a little bit ahead as well. I think the 3-month deal is probably the, pretty decent one if you're going to really play Switch a lot, then go for the 12. If you're really a Switch user, though, this is where I would go right here. So this is what you get. You get 12 months of Nintendo Switch, so that's already a $20 value. Not only that, but you get a bunch of different things for Switch Online itself. So there's going to be new tracks in Mario Kart. There's going to be new fighters in Smash and things like that. There's going to be, I believe, some Animal Crossing items. And that now brings us down to the Switch Online family membership. So you can get this, it's 12 months every 365 days. That one is $34.99. So, that gives you a little bit extra room for some people to use your online membership. You can also get the expansion pack with that for $79.99 for the full year, which is not a bad deal. None of these are bad deals. And I'm afraid that Nintendo's going to go back on this and kind of realize that they can raise the price on something like this. So let's head on back. And right here, we're going to look at the online and expansion pack to see what you can get. So you can get things like almost a virtual console on the Switch. So we can see this is a full list of the N64 games here. Obviously, the app you can download ahead of time, but here's just some more information. This is the N64's information. Here is their list of games. So we have everything from Mario Kart 64 to the Ocarina of Time to Super Mario 64, Paper Mario, Yoshi's Story, Dr. Mario, and even GoldenEye. So, it's definitely a decent selection of games. And for $50 for the full year, I think it's worth it for that alone. But not only do you get the N64, you also get Game Boy Advance. So if you go in there, we can check out the full list there. And this we get the Minish Cap, we get Super Mario Bros. 3 Advance, or Super Mario 4, Advance 4, Super Mario Bros. 3. We get Mario Kart Super Circuit, one of the best Mario Karts out there. We also get WarioWare, so let's take a look. We also do get Sega Genesis, and I believe there's NES and SNES as well. So we do get a ton of games. This is the expansion pack members. Now, this is the DLC that I was mentioning. Here's the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Pass. That's what it's called. It's called a Booster Pass. And so basically, we're going to check this out. It's $25. This is a DLC you would get with the Nintendo Switch Online. So this you could also download for $25 as well. So I'm not sure if they have a full track list. No, I don't believe they do, at least here. Okay, so you can unlock 8 more characters in all modes. So you would get Birdo, you would get Petey Piranha, you would get Kamika or Magic Koopa, you would get Wiggler, you would get Diddy Kong, Funky Kong, Pauline, and Peachette. And then you would also get more courses, which they don't really add much there. However, you do get some new Mii racing suits. So this is definitely worth it. The courses that are in this game are absolutely wonderful. I wonder if we can get to see some of those. Here we go. So there's 48 additional courses. 48. So for basically, think about it this way. You're paying for online already. You want to get the year, it's $20. For an extra $25, not only are you getting the booster pass, not only are you getting the actual virtual console basically on the Switch, you're also getting other things from other games too. So let's take a look here. So you do get Happy Home Paradise, which is the DLC for Animal Crossing, which I believe is it's another $25 value. So you get these things with no additional charge. Splatoon 2, Octo Expansion, if you're still playing Splatoon 2, $20. So you're paying $50 to save. This is $25, this is $25, this is $20. You are now saving almost $70 before tax, on these things. So if you're already playing online, it's kind of worth it to go for the expansion pack, because you're going to be getting Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with the booster course pack. You're going to be getting the Happy Home Paradise DLC for Animal Crossing New Horizons. If you're still playing Splatoon 2, you're getting that expansion for Splatoon 2. These things come at no additional charge. Not only that, like I said, you're getting the Sega Genesis. You're also getting access to Game Boy Advance games. You're getting access to the N64. Now, you can make the argument, well, why not just emulate another console? And you can say that, but if we're looking here at the actual Switch and what the Switch has to offer, I think Switch Online is pretty good. I think that the value and everything else going on right now, how everybody's basically getting, having the wool pulled over their eyes, I think it's pretty cut. I think with the way that the industry is right now, it is very important that Nintendo Switch Online gets talked about, because instead of you getting basically screwed by other corporations like through Xbox, which their Game Pass is very good, but it actually ends up hurting games a lot. PSN, or it's PS Plus, they're very expensive. It's monthly. It's $20 a month for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. That's expensive. When you look at the Switch Online, it's $50 for the best of the best. Unless you're looking at family, that's $80. So we're looking here at a much better value than a lot of the other systems on the market. Now, obviously, you're not getting the AAA titles on Game Pass day one like you would on an Xbox. You're probably not even going to get those AAA titles to begin with. But this is where it's at in terms of, if you want to maximize your Switch, get Switch Online. I'm telling you, I have had Switch Online. It's great. And it's really easy too. If you get out of Switch Online, let's say 1 month you don't want to pay for it, go into the app, you cancel it, you and your buddy want to get Switch Online to play, it's $4 a person, you're good to go. It is great. So like I said, these are some of the plans here. You get online play, you get the NES, you get SNES, you get the regular Game Boy, you get Nintendo Music, you can, oh wow. So your save data is stored automatically, which is great. You get the online app, which, allows you to communicate through like voice chat and things like that. You get some other special offers. Like I said, you get the N64 with the expansion pack. You get the Game Boy Advance with the expansion pack, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Booster Course Pack with the expansion pack, and so on with the expansion pack. So it's definitely worth it. So if you guys were interested in Nintendo Switch Online while watching this video, I would say definitely pick it up. Probably go for the expansion pack if you have the money laying around. It's definitely worth it, because first of all, you don't have to worry about paying it for it every month. And if you were to do the $3.99 every month, let's say you just forget about it for a year, that's already going to be close to $50 before tax. So it's like you might as well go for the $59.99 plus tax, or it's $49.99 plus tax. And yeah, you're basically evening out. So you might as well, and you get so many other things. You're saving $70. It's ridiculous. So definitely go for the expansion pack.
Alright guys, so this is going to be the grand finale of the video, and basically I kind of just want to go over, my overall verdict on the Switch. So to be honest with you, I'm going to kind of have to break this up into two parts, because I believe that the second half of the Switch's lifespan has been far superior to the first half. On the basis of that, I've learned to appreciate the Switch a lot more, and the games that have come out in the second half I've resonated with a lot more. So with that being said, the first half, games like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which probably, peak for me alongside things like Mario Odyssey and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. However, it did seem a little stale. I was a little bit younger, so I was in high school and things like that. So, then again, there's also that time. So with that being said, I'm going to give the first half of the Nintendo Switch console a solid 6 out of 10. The system itself has a great advancement over what the Wii U was, and it's obviously a proper advancement for Nintendo. The games themselves weren't anything bad by any means, just some of it felt a little too indie for my taste. Now, moving into the second portion of the lifespan of the Switch, I have become more and more acclimated to this new vibe from Nintendo. I am stoked for the Nintendo Switch 2, and with that being said, along with games like Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Mario Wonder, Mario RPG being a remake, and the new Link's Awakening and Echoes of Wisdom, which are games that are artistically appealing to me. I'm going to give the second half of the Switch generation a 9 out of 10. So with that being said, if I had to give the Switch as a whole an entire grade, I'm going to have to say the Switch generation is a solid 7.5 out of 10. The first half, just a little bit stale for me, especially the first couple years before 2020 and when everything went down that year. Animal Crossing hasn't released yet. So basically pre-2020 is what I kind of consider the first half, all the way up until, maybe even past that. So we can include Animal Crossing in the first half as well. Basically until the OLED came out. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and give the Nintendo Switch generation about a 7.5, or you know what, I'm being generous. Let's give it an 8 out of 10 because this second half for me has been so amazing. That being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did stick around, thank you guys so much. I really have been appreciating the support I've been getting lately. Trying my best to pump out as many videos as I can. I'm trying to make things quality, and I know these have become super long. So for the next video, we're going to be taking a look at the Nintendo 3DS. It's going to be about a 15-minute video. If you see this, just, stop on by, hit the bell, like, subscribe. If you'd like to, leave a comment. It can be as hateful as you want it to be. Whatever it is, guys. With that being said, guys, the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl next weekend, so I'm excited. And yeah, so everybody have a great rest of your day and keep on thriving.